Welcome back. It is Rewind 2, brought to you by Marketplace TF. We thought we would try a more suspenseful intro that time, just build anticipation. Welcome back. It is Getawhale. I'm here with Nuze. I'm here with Eepily. And we are getting set for our next series. We were just chatting amongst ourselves here on what we're looking to expect, but it is going to be SVIFT, and it is going to be Se7en and Snake. The S teams are facing off. We were talking a little bit about it, and we previewed it a little bit previously. Se7en, obviously, I mean, they're a big favorite, and they came all the way here from the UK, not as a joke. What are we expecting to see? I mean, are we expecting there could be some funny stuff or some upsets or whatnot? I mean, what's the dynamic right now? This is the first match of the day for both of these teams. What do you figure that means?
Okay, so from my point of view, I think initially the game Se7en had versus Se7en, they came out really dominant, and right at the end they lost control of the game. Things didn't work out for them. I don't know whether it was a comms issue, whether it was just a team cohesion problem, whatever. It all kind of went to pieces. I think this game, they're going to be really, really serious about fixing whatever that problem was. Regardless of what caused it, they're going to guarantee that they fix that, and they're going to try and even nothing, even if it's not like a really dominant 5-0 or whatever, because everyone knows the way that Se7en plays, it doesn't really matter how many rounds they win by. It's all about for how long they have control over a map. I think the big thing they're going to focus on is just having control over the pace of the game for as long as physically possible. I think that's going to be their primary focus. And then as much as possible, they're going to kind of, I think, test SVIFT, kind of, used SVIFT's kind of very competent snipers in the form of bot mode and high five. As well as, obviously bot mode and high five are great scouts. They're going to use them to almost like test some of their own players just to make sure, no one's been thrown off by yesterday, just to, kind of really give themselves back the confidence that they need to know that, like I said, they're here to win. They need to remind themselves that they are the best team in Europe they've done it for years.
Absolutely.
They just need to remind themselves why they're here, the fact that they're here to win, and people say that they are one of, if not the best team in the world. So.
Well, I mean, I chatted real quick to AIM and just asked. They said they got plenty of sleep, they feel ready. But Nuze, I mean, feeling ready is not enough. I mean, what do you think that SVIFT needs to come out and do? What are some keys? How can they maybe get in and take some rounds off of Se7en?
I think they need to play around enabling their star players. And I think bot mode's one of the key people that could open this up for SVIFT, because I think he's one of the players that's on the level of being, in terms of individual play, he can compete he can go head to head with a lot of the players on Se7en. We saw what he could do on Sniper the other day. We've seen him play Scout online and offline, and obviously he had his stint in Froyo. He knows how to play the top level TF2, and he can bring that star power, that firepower to the game that can really help SVIFT contest against Se7en. I think if they can enable bot mode and sort of play as AIM being the sort of rock of the team, he's been, from what I've seen of him, he's a very capable pocket soldier, and I feel like those two players will really need to step up if they want to win and get some rounds at least against Se7en. And it's going to be hard because Se7en are really good at shutting down specific star players. That's part of the strength of their team, is that it's not easy to make plays against them.
Why don't we have a look at the rosters? As a matter of fact, we can have a look at some of the numbers from yesterday and whatnot. There's the boys from the UK. And so, like you said, I mean, as you look at this lineup, I mean, it's just all around strong. There is no weakness as such. We're talking about what SVIFT has to do, because certainly they're the underdog coming in. Who do you think needs to have a big performance on this squad here?
I think one of the biggest players to look for is going to be AMS. We didn't have a great deal of time to talk about it yesterday, but I think at the end of the process game versus Ascent, he was, I think, 34 for 6 or something. He just completely destroyed that game. I think he had a 10 or 11 kill streak at some point. Like, AMS, when he's really on it, he can just absolutely trash basically anyone in the game right now.
Yeah, took 10 air shots from Drac, doing it for the camera, Let's switch. We'll have a look at the other side as well. We'll look at the roster here for SVIFT as well. Look at their mugs up on the screen. There you go. And so, like I said, I mean, we talked about these guys as well. Some of the stats, I mean, surprisingly are pretty equal, but you got to remember that yesterday it was some of the open teams and whatnot were playing, some of the lesser skilled teams. I mean, AIM been doing it for the camera as well, 29 air shots, which Sounds pretty impressive. It is a team game, though. But I mean, you look at bot mode, and like you said, bot mode's so dangerous on Scout, but also if you can get it going on Sniper, I mean, you know, there were chants of vac and cheats last night in the crowd. He was doing it, man. It is LAN, and it's we can see those snipers so often at LAN with those huge performances. So we say we're looking at bot mode primarily, aim as well. How about, and I guess high five also. I mean,
yeah. I mean, if we can expect to see bot mode sniping a bit more. I think high five's a reliable scout to have as the sole scout on your team in the middle of fights.
Yeah.
And the stats speak for themselves. It looks like he's been doing well so far, and he's got experience on LAN and in Invite. So he's another player that can probably go toe-to-toe with some of the 7 players.
Yeah, you guys picked out 2 players for a head-to-head on who we want to look at. We'll pull that up and just sort of compare. We've talked about them a little bit already, but we see the stack up here. We see how they compare. A couple differences here. I mean, we can see a slight difference in deaths and whatnot, but I mean, in terms of skills, certainly these guys, I mean, you feel like they're pretty equal all around in terms of capability, at least. It's just a matter of performing.
I feel like they have a bit more of a different role within the team.
Sure,
it does seem like bot mode, he kind of has a bit more individual freedom. I think Amps, everyone plays kind of around him and they move as a unit, and he's just sort of the wrecking ball in the middle that just destroys everything. Bot mode kind of, he's more of a spearhead, you know, he leads everything and people kind of follow behind him. He gets a lot of solo Ubers and that kind of thing where he's kind of a damage output scout. The one stat that I think it seemed like he had over Amps was that he had higher average damage per minute. And that makes sense to me because he's one of those players that when they play scout, it's less of a cleanup role and it's more of a damage kind of dealer.
Sure.
And that plays well into fight leading, whereas Amps, the game he played against Ascent, the first map, he was 34 for 6.
Yeah, his KAD stood out.
The
4.5 KAD, that'll help your team.
Yeah, but he had only 212 damage per minute, which was a fair bit lower than other people in the server. So he's playing more of a cleanup role than bot mode is.
Absolutely. Well, we see here now the pick ban is underway, and we're getting ready. I think that the players, once they're done here, we're going to be kicking it straight down. We've got Gully Wash and Product have both been banned. The first ban appears to be from the SVIFT guys. Second ban, Product, was by Se7en. We've got Sunshine picked. We're going to have Badlands as well, 2 of the less frequent maps that we saw yesterday. Any surprises there to you guys? You know Se7en pretty well.
Yeah, well, almost a little bit surprised to see Sunshine. I don't think we've actually seen a streamed game
I think
so
there might
far.
have been one
So
in the
maybe
open,
one?
possibly. But we don't see it as often, for sure.
No,
it's not
no,
their wheelhouse.
No, definitely. Like, even though it's been in the map pool for quite a few seasons, there's still a decent amount of teams that just don't really know how to play it particularly well.
Yeah.
I would imagine, like, it does surprise me that SVIFT picked Sunshine because, to my knowledge, Sunshine has been more active in the European map pool than American, I think. I would imagine that would be a map that Se7en would feel quite comfortable in. But clearly, well, there's a reason SVIFT picked it, so
yeah.
I'm guessing maybe they've got some secret strats worked out, or they just feel like it's a kind of map which they can really, really bring it to Se7en with.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. The final pick there is Snake, if needed, if this does go to 3 maps. And so, yeah, kicking it off on Sunshine, and like you said, I mean, maybe that could be the pace setter, so to speak. Maybe if SVIFT does have some stuff up their sleeve, I mean, maybe they do want to get out to an early lead. We've talked about it all day yesterday. That is the key against Se7en, is get out on top as fast as you can. We'll tell you what, I'm told, though, that the players are mostly ready, and they're just waiting for us to stop blabbing. So tell you what, we've got some French TF2 on the floor. We're going to kick it down to Ombrack and TurboTabs, both French. Take it away, boys.
Bonsoir, it's me on TurboTabs. Hi there, Ombrack. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Do you like my French impression?
Oh, was it an impression?
Oh,
I thought I was French. I'm really.
Oh, right.
I'm impressed.
I thought it was decent French. Anyway, I am TurboTabs. This is Ombrack, my French compadre. Sadly, I am not French. I'm just a humble Englishman. But enough about me, Ombrack. It's time to talk about these 2 teams. Se7en, SVIFT, big names, big game. It's an upper bracket game, best of 3, and they're playing just to see who plays off against Froyo in this upcoming upper bracket round 2.
Yep.
Now, straight off the bat, Ombrack, knee jerk. Who do you think's going to win?
I think it's going to be close. Maybe this is going to be the first time we're going to see 3 maps being played. I wouldn't be surprised to see this series going to the 3 maps. But I think Se7en is going to take it. We've seen them yesterday losing a map, losing Snakewater to Ascent, and I think it's just a good wake-up call for them. They eepily mentioned that they had to win, and losing a map to Ascent is just gonna maybe put them a bit more down to earth. Realize they still have some work to do, and I think Swift is a perfect rebound game they could have wished for. So I'm gonna go with 7, but I'm pretty sure Swift is gonna give them a hell of a game.
Now, we have a quick look at the maps, the bit of the map draft, and we've got a couple of strange map picks that we haven't seen all tournaments. Sunshine has come out, and we've also seen the Badlands game come out for 7. 2 maps that have probably been the least pick out of all of the tournament. Why are we seeing them right now, Ombrack?
It's hard to be into the heads of the players, but we've seen a lot of process, a lot of Snakewater. Snake didn't go really well for 7 yesterday. I think they banned Gully Wash. Swift banned Gully Wash, maybe knowingly that they know that this is one of 7 best maps, so maybe this is probably why they banned it. I'm a bit surprised to see Badlands, because this is the regular version of Badlands. We don't play this map in Europe anymore. We play a pro version of Badlands, so I'm kind of surprised to see 7 going for this.
Yeah.
Maybe they have, for having playing them a lot lately with us in EU, they have really strong mids of Badlands, so maybe they just feel confident. I mean, all of these players have been playing for so long. Whatever the version of Badlands this is, they're just going to be at home. So interesting to see. We've mentioned we've casted Swift yesterday, and we've mentioned a bit how maybe of a puck team this is. They maybe used to play the same kind of map like Process or Snakewater, Gully Wash. So maybe picking Badlands is a bit trying to upset them, make them a bit less comfortable on the map.
I mean, I've got a theory for you, Ombrack. Like, a lot of people going into this 7 versus SVIFT, pretty one-sided for 7, most would say, just by the pedigree alone. Do you think maybe they pick some of these maps because they just want to get some practice on them?
That's actually that could be a thing as well. We haven't seen Sunshine a lot, so maybe this is a good for both teams, a good test test run to see, can we play Sunshine against the other teams? What if we go further in the tournament? Can we actually consider Sunshine as one of our best maps? So again, it's really hard to have these 2 teams prepare the map picks beforehand. Did they pick according to the other team, or did they pick just according to their own strength? It's really hard to tell without asking them directly. But one thing I'm sure of is that it's really cool to see 2 maps that we haven't seen a lot of, and could be some surprise happening on these 2 maps.
You touched upon strengths earlier. Let's talk about the 2 strengths of these 2 teams now. What's so scary about SVIFT NA, in your opinion, Ombrack? Is it just the DM, or is there other aspects to their game that's quite scary?
I think it's their ability to make a messy fight, a messy situation, to turn it into a favorable fight. We've seen them against King's Crew yesterday. Sometimes the fight were a bit messy, but somehow they managed to get the better end of it. So maybe they have this ability to realize to be confident enough in their DM to know that if this is messy, they could take advantage of this, because we know 7 is a really organized team, and maybe sometimes when things go a bit messy, they will be a bit lost because this is not what they used to. So maybe this is a thing on which Swift can push on.
Okay, now is there any particular people that you're going to keep a keen eye on? Like, I was looking at the stats earlier, and they tell you roughly how well the player is doing overall in the tournament. We have a little leaderboard going, and AMS was rated highly as the scout, but following right behind him was actually High 5 in that 2nd place on a lot of those stats. I mean, AMS, High 5, is that going to be the scout duel?
Yeah, it could be one of the duels to look for this game. I've been talking to AMS before the game, and he said this is really not something to underestimate. He said he had a good night of sleep. And on LAN, getting good sleep,
that's rare.
Can make such a difference. You have no idea. Having the ability, being wide awake, having all your senses, having a good night of sleep can make all the difference, because maybe it means you're not going to whiff a shot. Maybe it means you can stay focused throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're a bit tired, sometimes you just get off the game.
I mean, sometimes it's nice not just to have those excuses in your back pocket. You're thinking like, oh man, I missed that shot. Is that because I didn't go to sleep last night, or I just had that extra beer?
It can have an impact. Like on land, when games are this important, being able to sleep, yeah, I can't stress enough how important this is.
All right, so let's talk overall about both of these teams. You've watched a bit of the group stage here and there between breaks and whatnot. Have any of these two teams like shocked you in what's happened so far? Like maybe the game between Ascent and Se7en. What's your reactions from the group stage?
Not really a shock, but it went a bit of a surprise. Let's put it that way. I think everyone expected a close game, but Se7en to take it in 2 maps. So, but as far as Se7en is concerned, I think it's better for them that this kind of misstep happened yesterday and not today, because it's good for them to. They know they're not entitled to win. Like they came here to win, but it's not. The win isn't going to be given to them. So having the ability to, you know.
Sorry,
there's an intruder. TurboTabs.
Yeah, it's all these paparazzi shotting hot pictures of
yeah,
Ombrack.
I've asked the security to, you know, look out for them, but apparently they managed to follow me inside.
That was Hollywood's hottest men right now on the Hollywood Boulevard. Just snapping a picture. Ombrack,
yeah,
5th place.
Like payback sometimes. But yeah, Se7en. I think they know what they have to work on now. I know for a fact that they've been talking about the game yesterday and how on what they can improve, what they can work on. So I know, like, especially Cadus and Raymond, they had a little chat to figure out why things went bad yesterday, like why they went a bit out of sync, because the way Se7en works relies a lot on Cadus and his ability to be followed by his medic and be tanked sometimes. So if Cadus and Raymond manage to figure out their issues, this game is going to be really interesting to see how the dynamic of Se7en throughout the rest of the tournament. If they manage to fix this, we're going to see Se7en coming really, really stronger.
Now, a person I favorably like to talk about when it comes to watching Se7en games, I mean, I'm a Euro, I'm biased, I'm going to talk about Se7en a little bit, is like Raymond, but he hasn't really been having a super stellar LAN in my opinion. It's just really, I expect the Raymond plays almost every other game, and I've been missing them a little bit.
Yeah, kind of. There was some kind of misread of situations yesterday at some point, but again, sleep isn't.
Sleep.
But Raymond told me the same thing as Amps. So this is how important this is. He told me yesterday he didn't sleep enough and he wasn't really feeling it. Now he had a decent night, and again, I think talking his issues out with the Cadus just going to help him a lot, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see the best side of Raymond today. Yeah,
I only bring up Raymond because I know you're a medic, a top medic yourself, Ombrack.
And
can you tell me like some of the pressures of like playing on LAN? Is it really that much of a different environment compared to playing online?
Well, of course, medic is one of the most stressful class, because when you make a mistake, your team is always going to get hurt by it. Like a drop can just lead to a round or something like this, and this is even more important in LAN because of the environment, because of the crowd just yelling when you're getting dropped, and then it just weighs on you even more than online. So it's really important to have your strong nerves and to say, okay, maybe I missed this arrow, maybe I dropped last time, but it doesn't have to make you change the way you play. You just have to keep going and have hope for better luck next time.
Now, when we were casting the group stages earlier, we kind of called into question how serious are these teams taking things now. And we've entered another stage of the tournament, the upper bracket. Things are getting a little bit more serious, but if anybody loses this game today, they're not exactly going out of the tournament.
No,
so
not yet.
Does that mean these players are still not taking it quite as seriously, or do you think, no, this is the point now where they're going to be firing on all cylinders?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the team who's going to win now isn't going to play at all today. Like, if they win, this is the only game of the day for them. So, or maybe they have another one, but really lately.
All right, so they're not playing for the prize pool. They're playing for the 5-hour break.
Yeah, so they can go to the beach, you know, and take a break. But And if they lose, I think they're going to loser bracket, and in loser bracket it's best of one.
The first round is best of one.
So loser bracket first round, you lose a map, you're out.
Yeah.
So obviously the stakes are really high right now.
Yeah, but it's only the lower teams that has to come to that.
Oh,
It'll
okay.
go back to best of 3 once any of these teams enter the.
But whatever
lower bracket.
happens, you don't want to end up in loser bracket.
Oh, of course.
It means more games, more pressure, more bad things all over the place.
Yeah, I think you even get map pick advantage as well.
That's
these
probably
little
a thing.
tiny things that pile up and
Well,
really
in the end,
motivates a
in
team.
this kind of tournaments, the tiny details are going to make all the difference. So, I mean, if these two teams are not serious now, there will never be. This is where everything starts, and where everything could end if it ends up being a bad game or a loss.
What have you thought about these the entire tournament in general and how close the competition is? I mean, when we first touched down, me and you were discussing like, it looks like it's a race between Froyo and Se7en right now. But with all these other teams, how well SVIFT in the center playing, has your mind changed at all?
Well, Froyo look really, really strong right now. We've seen them previously. They just completely rolled Ascent 5-0, 5-0 on the 2 maps. So right now, I would Froyo is slightly ahead of the rest. So it's going to be important for these two teams to reassure themselves and to think, if they win, to think we actually have a shot. And even for like you want to have a good game because they know these two teams, they know Froyo is going to watch them. So if, for example, Se7en wins, but like with a round difference, with a really scrappy, really hard, tight win, Froyo is going to be even more feeling well because they're going to be, look at these guys, they can't even beat each other 5-0 like we did earlier against Ascent. So there's a lot of parameters to take into account, and I think it's really important, especially for Se7en, in my opinion, to come out really, really strong against SVIFT.
Now, we've got both of the teams on the stage right now. We've put them up there for the whole world to see. Now, let's talk a bit about the stage pressure when it comes to these things. Now, sometimes it plays well into a person. If you're doing well, the crowd's cheering your name. You feel that adrenaline pumping. You feel like you can do anything. But again, some people can go quite negative with it if you're getting booed, or like you said about the medic. Now, is there any players from either of these teams that strike you as like an emotional player that plays off the crowd at all, negatively or positively?
I don't really know about SVIFT again. I don't really know the players, but I know that Amps can be quite an emotional player. So if he hears the crowd cheering him up, I know that this will just boost him and it will be unstoppable. But when it works in one way, of course, there's it can backfire as well.
Yes.
So if it starts not feeling it, and well, to be fair, we have a kind of a nice crowd, and they haven't been booing that much so far.
Yeah, they've been quite.
So they've been quite supportive. So maybe there will be some kind of pressure. I don't really know again about SVIFT, but they played on stage yesterday against King's Crew, and they seemed comfortable enough. They didn't seem like too much pressure by it. So now this is another competition, a way better team. So maybe now the pressure will start to kick in. But from the looks of it, I watched them playing against Velocity, the third round in the invite group, and they seem kind of cheerful, kind of lightheaded about the situation. So I think they have like a good approach on this, like not taking it too seriously. They know they have to win, they have to get a good game, but they know they as well know that they're not favorites, and if they win, this is all good for them. But if they lose, I mean, okay, this is pretty much what is expected of them so far, and they will have another shot at coming back into the competition.
Now, Ombrack, let's pretend, do a little pretending imagination here. Let's say you're the coach for Team SVIFT NA, and you have to set a win condition for these guys against Se7en. You've done your research, you know how to beat Se7en. What is it? What does SVIFT NA have to do to accomplish such a win?
I think they have to focus Cadus, get him down. He's the main caller for the team, he's the cornerstone of the team. So if you get Cadus down, you will mess up a bit their communications, because Cadus will be a bit like, guys, how do I die here? You need to be more like, I won't say it's going to be toxic, but it's going to be maybe a bit out of the comms for like 3 seconds. Yeah, maybe tilted for like 3 seconds. And if they can work on that, I think SVIFT has a real shot. But I think getting Kados down is going to be really important, and it starts right now in the first mid.
All right, if you are just joining us, welcome to our second game of the upper bracket. It is SVIFT, it is Se7en, and it is Sunshine, our first map of the evening out of the best of 3. And the first thing I'm seeing on the mid here on Ombrack is a big boy bomb from Captain. He actually initially dips in and just gives a little distraction, but now it's all for the Drac bomb, and they go to try and equal out with their own bomb. The scouts are on top of it, Ombrack. They don't have to really worry about this. They do get the Raymond kill with bot mode, however. It's quite a common sign when you see your own medic go down. The enemy team will actually flood against your medic. And they still got a couple of players live. They will eventually clean them up, but a little good trades coming out from SVIFT there.
That's a first mid for Se7en. I really like the bomb from Captain, just to draw the attention on himself, so Drac could bomb in unannounced, and he got 2 nice rocket onto skis and then killed the scout as well. But the reaction from, I think that was bot mode who killed Raymond. That was a really nice reaction here. In the end, Swiss wasn't too far off for taking this middle.
So we have hit a bit of a stalemate right now. I was thinking maybe one of those players was going off to a spy, but Flash was just checking those off class, a little perk of the spy class, if you will. So things are just going to pander off for now. They do know that they have a slight disadvantage, so you can see Se7en posturing for that at the moment, sitting back on their own point, playing on their half, knowing that they can maybe get some pressure out without committing too much. So they'll sit back, set up some stickies, and Captain and Drac are actually right on top of the bell tower, so they're in a nice advantageous position to make sure that SVIFT can't capitalize on a very easy Uber. So just waiting patiently, both of these teams. They have got the Uber charge now, so because of that safety net is applied to them, they can move a bit closer to these little chokeways and maybe actually think about pushing SVIFT instead now.
So here is what is going to happen is Kados is going to try to sticky snipe skis with like trying to get him down a bit, so Drac can jump in and force him 4 skis with 1 rocket. This is the standard 7th play on this holds. But yeah, we're gonna see Drac jump in at some point, and SVIFT has to be careful not to give too much room to Kados, because he is the one who's gonna try to open the situation.
Well, he's going in. Drac has made the jump, but he can't really get on top of the medic. He landed on the point, and he was a bit isolated away to get those nice clean rockets onto him. And even then, I don't think Kados landed those surgical stickies that you were hoping for on Drac.
Yeah, it's pretty much what they're trying to do. Maybe they got a little impatient here, because skis was full health when Drac jumped in, so I'm assuming like Kados didn't really hit him with any kind of stickies. We saw SVIFT trying to make something happen in Cafe, trying to pick to see if they had some room, but Se7en keep holding it really close to the choke, so there was no room to work with for SVIFT, and this is going to be another reset, and we're probably going to expect the exact same situation. Kados trying to pepper down skis and then Drac jumping in.
Now, you predicted this quite nicely there on Ombrack. Is this a sign of Se7en quite being predictable? If SVIFT did their homework, do you think that they can avoid most of these plays coming out from Se7en, or are they just a lot more fluid than that?
We'll see after that, because it looks like Se7en is trying to make their way into the flower area, and we can see everyone pretty much except Talash working on the flank. But once again, a nice hold from Swiss. Drac is bomb again from the choke. He's getting 1. No, he tried to get a rocket of skis, but the jukes from the medic was really good, and Drac couldn't get anything in. But once again, second different approach here for Se7en.
Yeah, it looks like SVIFT want to rotate to the cafe side. Zilly wants to do a bomb in, but clips himself on the flank there, so that has denied any sort of options for SVIFT or any sort of aggression. They will back off for now, and they throw Captain in this time, seeing maybe a switch of soldiers there actually will do the ticket, but nobody finds that frag onto anybody right now. You can cut the tension with a knife on Brack.
I'm surprised not to see Talash running back to spawn and trying to go for a sniper, because obviously Drac isn't going to do anything. SVIFT looks like they were aware of the situation, and Drac couldn't get any good rocket into ski, so maybe now the off class is the solution for Se7en, and we all know that Talash is a really good sniper, so maybe this is the next step into that push for Se7en. But if we are to see, I think Drac once again jumping in from the flower, he's on the point, gets 1 rocket onto skis this time, but this isn't enough. He has no one helping him, but the threat is getting more and more thick for Se7en.
You can see the advantage of that position as a medic, because you have to dedicate so many rockets as a roaming soldier to get to the medic. You haven't really got much left in the tank to fire at the medic.
Yeah, so you only have 2 rockets to shoot at the medic, because you do a double bomb using 2 rockets, so then you really you can't afford to miss any rocket, otherwise you're just going to be... Oh, the 2-pipe from Yano to Kados onto the choke, some kind of lucky pipe, and maybe with the demo down, this is the opportunity for Swift to try to make their move into the midpoint.
All right, they have changed their positions now to start setting up some spam for Se7en and maybe push them out. They will push from the flowers area. Both Ubers have been popped off. They really want to hold on to this midpoint, Se7en, and they're just kind of grinding up against each other. Nobody really wants to take the fight to either side. Raymond will back off. He's caught out of position though. AIM will find the medic frag. They just need to keep their medic alive at this point. Just keep blobbing up and protect skis, because that's what Se7en wants at this point. They're going on top.
The bomb from Captain is just cleaning up the frag onto skis, just salvaging the situation here. It's only Talash up, but he's getting cleaned up by Hi-Fi, but Captain just saved the situation that was looking really, really dire for Se7en, and now with the both medic dead, maybe Se7en would be able to stabilize onto that second point. But yeah, that push from Swift was clinical, and while the Uber were being traded on the flank, Botmo just went into mid and got a frag onto arms that completely allowed Swift to unleash the DM.
Well, on the bright side for Se7en, they did get Raymond alive a little bit quicker just by him dying a bit first, so they will have a slight Uber advantage, but if Swift have been paying attention, they should know about this and play accordingly. But neither team have Ubers right now, so they can play a little bit aggressive on Swift, but expect them to back off when it comes to a bit closer to that Uber for Se7en.
And Se7en, they really want to make this Uber count. Captain is already double bombing in. He's trying to make some room, but Yard cleans up Amp with sticky traps, so maybe... Oh, Yard as well getting Captain. Is that a... How did they get so many frags? Those Dalash retaliating with 2 nice frags onto AIM and Zilly, but the situation is looking really bad for Se7en now. They can't do anything. Raymond has moved the Uber.
Oh my god, Falash is just absolutely going huge. Is he going to get this frag as well? Falash is just playing out of his mind right now. Just cleaned up 3 players off the back of just like a span of 5 seconds, and he actually decides to not take the fight against a fully health bot node. It's up to AMS to actually kill that player, and there we go. He'll do it in good AMS fashion. God, that looked like it was going Swift's way on Ombrack, and then Falash just came in and killed everybody.
Kind of a clutch play here from the Danish scouts, allowing his team to stay into that round, securing the second point. And now the Ubers once again are even, and we could see that when it comes to trade, it looks like Swift right now is a bit more comfortable about trading Ubers than Se7en.
I mean, was it all part of the plan on Ombrack? Did that look like it was an intentional screw up by Se7en to maybe get them into a false sense of security, or am I just reading too much into it?
I think you're kind of overthinking the situation here, TurboTabs. I think it's just Swift coming out really strong in the start of this game, and maybe surprising Se7en a bit. Yeah. It looks like Se7en still a bit shaky from that game from yesterday, and they still need a bit of time to reassure themselves.
Yeah, you got to forgive me. I'm a biased Euro crowd. So they will find the stickies from Kados. Hi-Fi will take care of them, and we're back to our good old-fashioned 6v6 stalemate. But I do love a good stalemate now and then on bracket. Brings out the thinkers in 6v6. Really gets creative, and you'll see some sort of planned plays or these nice little innovations maybe from all the quirks of the map almost. So let's see what Swift can actually cook up this time against Se7en, because we saw Se7en actually help the mid this time, and Swift get a chance at breaking the stalemate.
It's going to be interesting. When it comes to break the holds, we can see Talash trying to make something kind of new from what we've seen so far. But yeah, when you're trying to push on the second point, apart from bombing soldiers, it's just really hard to break it. But Talash gets a nice pick onto Yard, and it's going to open things up for Se7en.
He has been revealed. The first shot is the most deadly of the sniper. Nobody expects you there, and you're going to be caught out of position most of the time. So very nice snipe coming out from Falash. He has been kind of brought out by the scout, though. He will actually close the line and get that sniper pick, but they don't really want to push in off the back of that Yite snipe that Falash found earlier. He is back up to the world of the living, but he's going to take some time to actually roll that back to his team. They're actually thinking of making a push here, and they're pressuring quite well. They actually use the Uber because they're just that scared of the situation, but they're lacking players. They're lacking loads of players at this point, a couple of drop players, and because of the position they have and they took in that Uber, they had nowhere to really run or hide on back.
Every trade is going in favor of Swift right now. Kind of surprises me for so long, but you can see Zilly already on last. Nice frag. Talash up in the air, gets one frag, can't get the second one, but now Botmod is cleaning up everything. That's the first round to Swift. They just dealt with the situation ideally, just the trades always going in favor of Swift.
I mean, Se7en was slowing it down, everybody was slowing it down, and usually people like to lean towards Se7en when it comes to this slow gameplay, but SVIFT show that they're just as patient as they are aggressive. So, but it's not over yet. It's a good 10 minutes into the game, and 20 minutes is a long, long time to make any sort of round back. But we'll be expecting SVIFT to maybe start kind of playing a bit more patient just from the round advantage. We see Drac, he's actually going to take the long flank around in Flowers, and hopefully Se7en could hold on while he's doing this massive flank around. And the losing players are really banking on Drac to come around and cause a lot of damage here. But I think it's far too late at this point on Ombrack. He actually won't even get the kill onto Skis, and with everyone wiped on Se7en now, is that really the play from Drac?
Well, what was the play was what AIM did. He knows that he has to get Kadius down. It's no, I think Kadius being the first one to die is just how a testimony of how SVIFT knows how to handle this game against Se7en. Kadius being kind of overextended over the point, getting jumped by AIM, and then Raymond died right after his demo man. But SVIFT adapting really well to the Se7en playstyle. They're trying to be a bit more cautious maybe than they would be against other teams, trying to delay their bombs a bit, and it's working out really well for them so far.
Yeah, well, we're at last point for I think the first time in the game. I say we're at the first time in the game. We did see a little bit of it, but that was just kind of bum rushing last. We didn't really get to see a good old last defense, and we see Falashes rocking that sentry gun. You've got actually AMS rocking the pyro. That's an unusual little mix-up there from this team. Usually, they're Ubering in now, double scout, but they have to deal with the sentry gun, and they have to deal with a pyro as well. I guess that's to counter the pyro, protecting that sentry gun. They will eventually pepper down that sentry, and now it's up to the Se7en soldiers to kind of bring back this little defense here, as they lost not only AMS and Drac, and everyone's just falling apart on the side of Se7en here, and SVIFT, they just make it look so easy on Brack.
What a push. That was such a nice push. I think only Zilly died in that push while Raymond was kind of close to the Uber, but the work from Botmod and High Five is really truly impressive. They just clean it every damage, every frag, and they're the reason why SVIFT is 2-round in the lead now.
I mean, it's 2-0 on Brack. You're not sweating at this point if you're on the side of Se7en. There's a lot of pressure on your shoulders, and nobody expected SVIFT to kind of come out this strong. All right, well, there's another mid, another attempt. Drag this time will kind of lead a few people into Flowers, but I think he's going to get cleaned up by these scouts, and Zilly has a much better plan in mind. Oh, actually loses the little fight, the little 1v1 against Captain in the cafe area, and they're just kind of blobbing up over on SVIFT. They don't really know where to attack Se7en from, because they're coming from all sorts of angles, and they are losing players. They have managed to keep Skis alive, but Skis is being chased by not only that one scout, that one soldier, but they will maybe get him. There we go. The clean up onto the medic there, and a bonus little soldier kill as well. Captain sitting on a nice 3-kill streak from that little round.
A really nice chase here from Abs and Palace, just running at Skis as fast as they could, and they actually got the frag onto the medic. So now the situation is kind of turning upside down in favor of Se7en, and I think this is the first time in that game that Se7en is sitting on such a big Uber ad. So they have to make it work, have to make it count, so they can make it 2-1 and actually come back into the game. So they don't really want to doubt for too long.
Yeah, they've got a lot of work to do, however. They've got not only a sentry gun to take down on, but they have to take out the heavy weapons guy as well, and deal with these beefy soldiers after the Uber ends. I mean, it's a tall task, but they're going to give it their best go. They will take out the sentry gun very quickly, but that heavy weapons guy is sitting back and just making it a pain to just jump into that massive blob of SVIFT. They're just inching around these corners at the moment, don't know really where to take the fight from. They're going to do a lot of point pressure, and they just cap it outright. Why take the fight to them when you can just take the objective on Brack?
Yeah, the work from Captain here was really impressive. He just sat on the ground and without really committing himself, just for Rackets to deny any contest play from the players of SVIFT. And this is exactly what Se7en was looking for, a nice quick round so they can get into the game as quickly as they could and try to lift off a bit of the pressure they have on their shoulders.
All right, well, the mid has been quite back and forth between both of these teams now, so I'm interested to see what Drac can accomplish, and he's drawing a few eyes, so already it started off quite well for Se7en, but they're doing some nice equal trading, but you can see like the benefits of that nice bomb coming out from Drac. He drew a lot of eyes, a lot of ammunition, and from there you saw the collapse following up by Se7en. Very nice mid for the Euros.
once again, SVIFT tried to go for Kados really aggressively at the start of the mid, but it looks like Se7en are aware of that right now, and Kados is being way more protected by his scouts. It's getting way more harder to get him to get the frag onto Kados. So obviously, when Kados doesn't die, Se7en usually wins the mid, and this is another proof of that. And this is another really big Uber ad in favor of Raymond, and we can see bot mode maybe a lot of actually off-class trying to SVIFT, trying to hold for as long as they can, and hoping for SVIFT to get his Uber in time, even though this is going to be a really hard hold for SVIFT.
Yep, they're just buffing everybody up. Look at all those overheals now. They will enter in with the Uber. They have to take down the sentry gun quickly, but they're looking for the sniper. He actually gets some nice damage onto Kados before he comes into the fight, and Flash can't even join the fight. The Stickies deny him off, but I don't think they need him right now. They actually find a pick onto aim, and a bit scared. They did take a lot of damage during that little entryway, and I feel like they wanted to get more players in there, but it was a nice play from Yites, keeping people stuck out in that doorway with those Stickies.
Yeah, and you mentioned the fully charged body shot from High Five onto Kados. This is probably the reason why Se7en beefed this last push, because with Kados couldn't commit to the push, so they couldn't get the sentry down quick enough, and so no ground has been taken by Se7en on this push, and then SVIFT was really able to hold without really committing people and committing bodies. Botmod tried to do something on Raymond after the Uber faded, but got cleaned up, and he dies once again. But Talash is getting picked as well by Zeddy, so this should be a reset. But do you really want to kill Talash right now? Because you know this is going to be a hold, and you're probably going to expect the Dane to come back as sniper.
Yep, he is, but keep in mind he's quite the online player as well when it comes to that sniper class, but whatever it will be, it will have to be a surprise, because who knows, the players might be listening in on back, so let's see what sort of plays they can make off the back of this little stalemate. It's 13 minutes left on the clock, so plenty of time for either of these teams to kind of pull some rounds from one another. Kados is just kind of watching that right-hand side flank. You actually see bot mode sniping over on there, but they expected this, they've already called this, they've spotted this, and just a little calming wave of quietness before the first shot rings out from Flash. He will reveal that he's playing that sniper class, and SVIFT should adapt to this change now.
30 minutes is still a lot of time for Se7en. They don't have to rush the situation yet. They can still push. A nice pick from Kados into the dispenser. Maybe that is the entry pick that Se7en needed to push into the class. We can see Talash once again trying to make magic happen, but Yite looks like he's not going to get surprised this time. And the botman on his own side of the last, also trying to click on some enemy players, but none of the snipers really connecting heads right now.
Yeah, you could see the signs of a good sniper though. Flash constantly rotating all these different doors, keeping them guessing on the side of SVIFT. And oh, actually Flash feels a bit of hate from the other sniper, bot mode, kind of showing him that the sniper on sniper puts a lot of pressure on both of them.
Ooh, and Talash hitting a nice headshot onto aim, but doesn't accomplish much more than this apart posting Talash locks. We can see Se7en taking this situation really patiently. Once again, they don't have to rush things yet. They still have time to try to make something happen quite cautiously. Ooh, Talash tried to pick it a small angle, but Bogmo reciprocate with a really nice pick onto the sniper, and maybe he will try to take some more advanced position.
Yeah, and they just back off. They don't want to give up this power play that they have on this second hold, and just because they got that one pick doesn't mean SVIFT can really push off it. He's actually going for a brave little shot there, but somebody is watching that lower area, and he even tried to go for the chase on him, but Bump Mode sees this happening. He gets out there, lickety split, and they're actually going for a new tactic over on the side of Se7en, but we'll have to all wait patiently to see if that pays off. In the meantime, you do see some light pressure coming out from the SVIFT soldiers from these lower doors, just kind of holding close, seeing if he can get these three picks or almost wraparounds when Se7en make that inevitable push.
Now it's up to Se7en to try to sync a play with all of their players to see if they can break the hold, but this is getting really hard for them to make anything happen. We can see Talash here trying to check on the situation and see what he can accomplish, but he needs his team. Everyone in Se7en really needs to be concerned in this push.
Yeah. And wait patiently, and there comes the drop. Oh my days! I really wanted to scream to SVIFT, there's a spy, but we have to do our best to pretend like everything's just fine on Ombrack, and because of that drop now, they have to just Uber in. I mean, you're not going to get a better option off this push, so they already get some point pressure going. They're actually losing a couple of players right now, and Raymond's trying his best to just keep everybody alive, but eventually, just under their noses, they will cap it off against SVIFT. I was a little worried there.
That was a bit too close than what it should have been. Drag luckily sitting on the point and getting the frag, but I really like the reaction here from SVIFT. Even though they lost their medic, they just try to go really deep onto the 7 people and try to apply as much pressure and as much damage as they could, and they almost hold that point. But now it's 2-2 7s finally coming back into this game, and now SVIFT they need to find a new solution on this middle.
Yeah. See the big soldiers from Se7en, they have been captivating this midpoint. We're winning the mids where they can, and it's really been, they have been the deciding factor, and everyone's just holding on to the life right now. Nobody's really kind of entering the fight. Actually, Raymond first frag on the mid. That's a massive pick for SVIFT. They could probably play heals at this point, but everyone's just so low. I don't think Skis has time to heal all these people.
Thalash is restless. He's getting 4 frag on this mid, like clean up the scouts and the high five, putting this trick into a net, but really nice reaction. It feels like Thalash is really the MVP for Se7en right now with the 4 frags on this mid, 1 being Skis.
It makes you wonder, Ombrack, is there much point going for that medic first? I mean, maybe you should just start firing at all the people with all those scary looking guns. And speaking of scary guns, High Five will actually vaporize Cadus on that mid there. And they've got their medic up a little bit sooner over on Se7en, but they've got no players to really benefit from the buffs. They are thinking about making this push onto mid, but they'll back off instead, knowing that they've got that player disadvantage, and just settle for the Uber's charge advantage instead.
But yeah, the one scout on each team just going out really, really strong. First Thalash, and then I think that was High Five who got the rest of the frag. But now you mentioned that Raymond died first, so of course this is going to be a Uber ad for Se7en, and this is really interesting to see how they want to approach the situation now, because earlier we've seen this situation earlier, and it was the start of the game, so it was like 25 minutes left into the game, but now we only have 8 minutes, and
I mean,
one of the teams will want to take the lead quite soonish.
Are you feeling a bit scared at this point as SVIFT? You felt like you were in such a comfortable position in the game at 2-0, and now they've just managed to get 2 rounds back to back during the time crunch. It must be a little bit scary knowing that the big monster of Se7en just can't seem to just lose.
Yeah, this is Se7en. Sometimes you think you had the win coming, and Zilly dives to a rocket from Captain. So maybe this is what Se7en needs to break the situation here. We can see Thalash trying to make a nice little something happening, but is SVIFT up to the task right now?
I wonder if they will actually play off of Zilly going down there, but they're just sitting back for now, waiting patiently for maybe another pick to just arise. But I mean, maybe they're just wishing on the wrong, or banking on the wrong play at this moment. I would have liked them to show a little bit of aggression off the back of that Zilly pick, but you know, that's just me.
Oh, and Thalash is making his move. He gets pick on the frag, so he realized he couldn't go for the medic anymore, so he thought maybe getting a secure frag was the best he could get. So now with the High Five there, is it enough for Se7en to push out of this? I mean, they have a spy, so they can't really afford to get 2 scouts. Captain is going in, get 1 rocket onto Skis, but he can't do much more than that nice cleanup frag from Bob Mode, and now the situation is once again evening out.
Yep, and I'm just waiting on SVIFT now to kind of capitalize on some of these mistakes from Se7en, but they just want to wait just as patiently as Se7en have been doing. Again, both of these teams are showing remarkable patience throughout the entire game. It's been really a whole different game that I've been watching all tournament.
I wasn't sure that SVIFT could actually play this way, play the 7 game kinda, but they've been doing it so far really well, and I think Zilly has been spotted, so he's looking like he's going back to spawn, because he was on spy, but I assume he has been spotted because he didn't do anything, and now he's just walking back. Yeah, the benefit of this play is Se7en don't know that he's gone back, so they're going to be still checking these corners, they're going to be checking these random spots, almost a paranoia, so maybe they did that on purpose then.
Oh yeah, it's just reveal yourself, just make it so you look like you bumped into somebody, but it's all the play.
I've been spotted.
Oh no.
Oh, that's unlucky.
Yeah. But 5 minutes left. Both of these teams, there's got to be a winner on Ombrack. There's no ties in this format. We're going to go to a golden cap, so someone needs to swallow the pill at this point and just go and knuckle down for a push. And who's it going to be?
Well, it's kind of hard to make a decision now, because if you try to push and you lose it, then you may lose the round, and then it's going to be really hard to come back in aim, try to make something happen. Both Cadus and Captain dies to focus fire from Zilly in the high five, and with Cadus down, maybe Swift is going to try to take a better trade with it. I see them going in. Zilly is trying to get one onto Raymond, and Raymond has to use the Uber getting traded onto that second point, and he could go in favor of Swift, but it looks like the work from Drac in the backline is going havoc to Swift.
Oh no, you could see like Se7en wanted to take some of these one-on-one fights, but they're losing them on Ombrack. Who would have knew that the DM team is out DMing them?
And Raymond died, so it's looking really, really dire for Se7en now.
You do have one soldier waiting in the wings, but he's been spotted by AIM, and now that soldier's practically useless to his team.
Oh,
I say that, Drac actually gets a cheeky little turnaround pick against AIM. So maybe a sign of life for Se7en after all of those bad happenings for them.
So now when you're Swift, you know you have the Uber ad, it's 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So if you make this push count and you convert it into a round, you're probably taking the map. So it's going to be about being really, really cautious and really not failing this push.
Yeah, so you actually have Falash running the Pyro this time. They're very, you know, I guess they just trust this Pyro so much. We didn't see too much of it working out for Se7en in the last push. They did a double scout Uber, and that looks like is what they want to do now, but the Pyro's being much more of a task to actually deal with, and because they focused the Pyro so much, they didn't really focus the Sentry Gun. They did eventually get it down with some spam, and most of the players are successfully in, but they're so fragile and just so not really finding the kills that they're looking for. They're actually finding the kills now, but they've got their Uber charge over on Se7en. They've delayed enough time. That's all they needed to make sure they held on to this, but Zilly is in the background. Everyone's forgotten about him in the high five.
Two rocket to Cadus, and now it's high five, but he can't do anything against Talash and Abs. Nice cleanup here from the two scouts, but Zilly with the two rocket to Cadus could have just turned around the situation. I really loved like the situation, the play from Talash on Pyro. As soon as the two scouts went in with the charge, he just dropped down, forcing them to follow him down and give up the high ground. So that was a really smart play here from the Pyro.
Yeah, it's just a horrible place to be in when you're pushing those lats. It's your final test of the rounds. You've got this time pressure on you. You need to do things quick before those respawners came back. And not only did the respawners save them, it saved them twice there on Ombrack.
So the clock is ticking. TurboTabs only 3 minutes. The pressure must getting really, really thick right now for both of the teams, because you really don't want to lose a round here. And maybe you're thinking making it to tie is a better end than losing the round.
Yeah, keep in mind though, this was SVIFT's map pick, so they should be winning this in theory. They should be feeling most comfortable on this map against Se7en. This is their first choice after all, but Se7en, they're making a go of it, and it leads me to believe if Se7en can walk away this, they're likely to walk away with the entire best of 3.
And it's mainly up to Swift now to make something happen, because Cadus and his teammates are sitting on the second point. You can't really push out when you're on your second. It's really up to Swift to try to make something happen. I can see the bombing soldier coming onto Raymond, the bomb from Zilly, but Raymond just doesn't use the Uber, and will Se7en try to push with a one-man advantage?
I mean, is it a good thing if it goes to Golden Cap, Ombrack? Do you want do any of these teams want it to go to Golden Cap right now?
Well, once again, I think getting the Golden Cap is a way better ending than losing the map. But it's about weighing the pros and the cons of pushing and try to decide, do we believe we can actually win the round, or is it more safe and clever, let's say, to just run the timer down?
So at this point, they are running the timer down. Maybe they're setting up a scenario on SVIFT where they could win with the time left remaining, but they can't possibly lose. That's roughly around the 40-second mark, where it would just be way too much time for Se7en to actually, cap all 3 of the points that they need to win this round. So they're just grinding out this timer, and Se7en, they even feel a little bit of the time pressure themselves. They're trying to make more things happen on their side of things, because they don't want to just go to another mid, it looks like. They just want to see if they can fish for the round right now.
Yeah, 1 minute left. I hardly see Se7en winning the map right now. It's probably if there's a winner, it's going to be Swift, I think. So we're probably going to see a tie on the first map of this series. But will Swift be reckless enough, let's say, to push? It's going to be interesting. It's 45 seconds now, TurboTabs, and Swift, if they want to win the map, they will have to go on the move right now.
They've got one push and one push only, and they actually choose to go from the cafe side. They will get a pick onto captain. That's a strong start, a nice fat solid Uber to actually go into the second. But Se7en have expected this. They think, well, if we could just delay time for a golden cap, just really make sure that we hold on to this last point, hold on to the Uber. They can't possibly win the game in just 17 seconds, can they?
Well, Raymond still holds the Uber. Zilly is trying to jump in, he's getting nice damage, and actually Amps is the first casualty for Se7en. But Cadus and Captain and Drag, they're all piling up the frags. Raymond uses the Uber on the point, and they can't possibly cap it anymore. This is going to be a tight TurboTab for the first map of the series, and what a map this has been.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show how close these games are between all of these teams. SVIFT coming into the competition with the third seed, was it?
Fourth seed.
Fourth seed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and yet they're still kind of taking rounds, showing it, bring it down to the wire with Se7en, who was predicted that second or first seed. So, very, very tight competition in this entire tournament. And we're going to be going to a golden cap very shortly. But in the meantime, was there anybody that impressed you throughout that game, Ombrack?
Bot mode, once again, we spoke a lot about bot mode before the game started, and once again, I felt like both Eam and High Five, again, were really the powerhouses for SVIFT. Everything that happens during the game is on the back of the two scouts. So it's really hard to shut down a scout when he's on a good day and when he's feeling well. So
Yeah.
for Se7en, it's going to be about trying to maybe be more stacked, play more as a unit, and try to fill the cracks in their holds. But yeah, bot mode feels like really confident. Remember the first mid when Skis died right away, but who went and killed Raymond? That was bot mode, and that was just the first of many kills for him.
I mean, maybe it's not so much about the players, maybe it's about the environment itself. It is the first time we've seen Sunshine on the stage, at least from what I can remember. So is it the map? Is it something that Se7en should start thinking about for future best of threes? Do they want to swap out that Viaduct ban for the Sunshine ban?
I don't think at this point they can't possibly be thinking about the rest of the tournament. They have to win this map first, and then they can focus on what's going to happen next. But I think thinking about the rest of the playoffs right now, it's getting a bit ahead of themselves.
Well, again, just waiting on that golden cap. Everyone's just kind of shivering with tension, and they just need to kind of shake off all the bad vibes from that game, all the little mistakes. And let's talk about that, Ombrack. How much do these little golden caps or these ties linger in the mind going into the golden cap? Do you ever think to yourself or kind of dwell on the mistakes? Or
well, there hasn't been really good big mistakes from either of the two teams. I think at the start of the map, it was just a SVIFT getting better trades. So this is not really mistakes. This is just one. Sometimes you just have to acknowledge that one team is playing better than you.
Yeah.
It's not about you making mistakes. It's just about you being a bit outplayed. But it happens throughout the course of a single map. At some point, the soldiers are gonna get in a good like 5 or 10 minutes, and then it's gonna be the scouts, and then it just cycles all the time. So it's not really about mistakes. It's about trying to find a way to outplay your opponent. And I think when you SVIFT right now, so you've been in the lead for 15 first minutes, and then Se7en came back into that game. Yes, you had the opportunity to take it home, but when you SVIFT like right now, maybe you want to try to make something new happen to surprise once again Se7en as the start of the game was.
Ombrack, there's no time to talk now. We are going straight into our golden cap. This is to decide who gets this first map of our best of 3, and let's see what mid they both decided upon. If they only get one shot at it, and the first thing I'm seeing on this mid is just again some nice distracting plays from Drag that's served them well so far. Some big stickies coming up from Kado, cleaning up not only one soldier but two. He's 3 HP warrior on that man. Will get a nice crossbow. Captain kind of stunted in this air and will kind of crater, and some of those players kind of overextended there. Drac and Captain really wanted to put the aggression on, but a bit detached from their team, in my opinion, Ombrack.
Yeah, Kate is going out really, really strong, and for seconds now there was no soldiers alive on the map. But the spawners are coming up a bit earlier for SVIFT, and maybe they will want to make this happen. We can see Raymond having to use his own Uber. Ubers are being traded, and Botmo trying to get the trade onto, I think that was Talash on the point, but he can't do anything. Ski is getting isolation onto the choke and getting cleaned up by Cadus and Drac. and the frags are being exchanged, but it looks like it's favoring Se7en right now.
Well, they've got more scouts up, and they've got that medic up as well. Usually that favors the team quite heavily when it comes to these post-Uber fights, and they're just checking the corners now, making sure there was no traps sprung by SVIFT, and they will finally lock down this second point. It's so hard to hold on to the second point without giving up some sort of positioning or players, so they will get that point for free. But Yite has got something in the works for them, just setting up some general stickies around the area. They're going to have a quick little trap sweep over on Se7en before they make this push to last.
And Se7en, it looks like they have some kind of momentum going right now. They have a slight Uber ad, and they surely will want to try to push out of this, but they have to make it. They have to make it quicker than this. I can see Se7en getting a push ready on the top right.
And they're going in. The blue light has been popped, and they need to take down the sentry gun quick. There we go. It's maybe a lot of attention brought by that sentry gun, but that's just the 7th player on this 6v6 game. They will actually get a kill onto Cadus. That's their damage gone for them, but they've still got these scouts that can kind of rain free, and God, that was so easy from Se7en there on Bragg.
They should have done this from the start.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Just, why not win the game quicker, Se7en? Jeez.
It's for us, for the viewership. They just want to pretend there's some competition here, but I think the golden cap, what a run from Cadus. I mean, he had a really strong mid, and that this push, he piled a lot of damage onto SVIFT, and then the rest of his teammates, they just had to pick up the frags.
What were the differences we saw in that golden cap on Brack, apart from Cadus just kind of going huge on that mid? Was it Se7en just kind of picking up the game, or was it SVIFT kind of dropping the ball? Who's to blame here?
Maybe SVIFT felt a bit of pressure. I mean, it's a golden cap on stage. Maybe I felt like they lacked a bit of aggression at some point, and so they lacked aggression at the mid, and then when they tried to came back and trade Uber, maybe this is where they had too much aggression, because then they realized we should have been more aggressive on the mid, so let's overcompensate it, and by going really deep on the trade, and maybe this is what hurt them.
Yeah, well, I just want to stress how, the gravity of the situation right now on Bragg. That was SVIFT's map that they picked there, and they ended up losing it 2-7 despite that little choice. And I mean, what's the morale going to feel like on SVIFT after that game?
Well, I mean, when you look at the numbers, SVIFT was still the underdog in this game, and they managed to almost take the map out of Se7en. So even if it's their pick, I think they should be confident that they put up a good show. They almost took the map. They were leading 2-0 at some point. So I think when you're SVIFT, you still got to keep your head up. You got to be proud of what you've done so far. And who knows, if Se7en won a SVIFT map, why not the other way around?
Well, we will be going into our second map. That will be Badlands. We're going to have that prepared very shortly for you guys. But in the meantime, we could do my favorite topic, predictions.
Well,
I bet you're sick of predicting at this point of the tournament.
Well, because it's really hard to predict. I mean, all these teams are so close from one another. It's really hard to say, yeah, this team is really going to win. So I can't really tell. I think I'll just follow my guts and with what I said at the start. Se7en is going to take it. We said that it was going to be a close game. I think you can't get any more closer than a golden cap. So yeah. I think I'll just stick with it. But maybe Se7en will take the grasp of the situation. Maybe they were just not confident enough on Sunshine. Maybe there was a map issue, and on Badlands they will feel way more at home and they will take it. I know Drac is amazing mates on Badlands, really, really strong, so does Captain. So, but in the same time, Badlands can be such a stalemate map. Like, I mean, if you're stuck on last, especially in all Badlands, if you're stuck on last and if you hold it properly, you can hold for 10 minutes and without anything happening. So I think it could go either way. I have a hard time to see SVIFT taking it home though. But I mean, if they manage to get some good mids and if AIM and Zilly come out quite strong on mids, I think SVIFT has a real decent shot to take the map as well.
Yeah, let's talk about Badlands in general. I mean, back in my day on Bragg, Badlands was best lands. That was the map that you saw every single day, every single pug, and now barely anybody plays it, barely anybody picks it. What's changed about Badlands? Why have players...
I think it's not about Badlands, it's about the game in itself. The pace of the game changed so much, it slowed down a lot. So I think that's probably why, especially we mentioned that last point where it's really hard to push on that last, but it's really hard to push out of the last because you get punished really easily. There's so many entries to go into the lobby and then into last, so I think it's more about the pace of the game. It slowed down a lot, mostly because of Se7en, but I think most of the teams just realized that playing a pistol
what
was
are
the
these
best
strange
solution.
markings on the screen right now, Ombrack? What are they? I've never seen them on all tournament. I think they call them logs. Logs?
That's probably be logs, and I can already see Talash and Botmod sitting at the top of the kills.
Wow. Falash actually showing off compared to AMS. We were bigging up AMS all pre-game, and he's gone
He let
quiet
us
on
down.
us.
He just let us down, and so we talked a lot about strength in the team, but it's really hard to call out players, but Drak looks like he had a really rough game. So did Zilly, actually.
I think all the soldiers have had a rough game, to be honest. Usually you're expecting these high numbers coming out from at least Captain. Captain is usually the rock that you turn to, but he was just struggling all game. Is it Sunshine? Is it just a cruel mistress to those soldiers?
Possibly can be the map.
Oh, look at those charge differences between both medics. 6 coming out for Skis, but a whopping 9 for Raymond there. He's quite the talented medic, don't you say?
I think it's really hard to read anything from Uber charges, especially on such a stalemate map.
What about these other little stats here? I mean, an interesting stat that's jumping out to me is deaths within 20 seconds after the Uber.
This just highlights the aggression from Swift. We've mentioned how the trades were better for Swift at the start of the game, and this is mainly because they managed to kill Raymond a lot of the times after the Uber were exchanged. Another thing that is interesting is the hill repartition. We can see AIM sitting up at the top of the hills for Swift with 26, while in the same time Cadus at 30% of the hills, and then comes only Captain with only 22. So maybe that's some focus to switch here for Se7en if they want maybe to be a bit more comfortable into the second map.
Yeah. Is it just come down to who calls in the game? If somebody's calling for the majority of your team, you're just going to get heals. Is that just par for the course of Team Fortress 2, or is there any teams that defy that little rule?
Well, the team where the medic is the main caller, obviously.
Oh yeah, you can't really heal yourself.
Of course. But yeah, when you're main calling, you're drawing a lot of the attention to yourself. So. We can see that the mids were pretty even.
Kills as well, very close. Just only 2.
Actually, very close game. But look at the damage number. Se7en, they're 2k damage, 3k actually damage behind Swift, and they have the same amount of frags. So maybe Swift need to work a little bit more on their focus targets or their focus fire, and maybe they can get the frags, and that can be a solution for them to take Badlands.
Yeah, look at the start of this game for. Going off for SVIFT here. They actually got the first 2 rounds in the first 10 minutes of the game, and you see the slow little crawl back from Se7en here. I mean, do you think this will dwell on any of the players' minds? Will it go haunt them going into their next game in Badlands?
I think details such as these don't really lay into the mind. Like, as soon as the game's over, you're kind of over them. What stays in mind is the general dynamics of the teams, not really the order of the rounds or stuff like this. What you remember is we were bad on mid or we were good, and the general mistakes or general approach of the enemy team. I know Kyrgyz is really good at this, analyzing the mistakes and finding answers really quickly. I don't really know much about Swift on this situation, on this problem, but maybe they've surprised me so far. I really didn't expect them to be able to play into Se7en's game, on that slow game where you kind of have to wait for your opponent to make something happen before yourself going on the move. So far, I think Swift has been really impressive. Not only on the DM aspect of the game, but also on the game sense, I would say.
Yeah. Now, let's go to my favorite segment of these little panels there, Ombrack. Let's pretend that you're the coach for one of these teams. Let's do another little imagination scenario. So this time, you're the Se7en coach. You've even got a Se7en t-shirt, so you could really play the role here if you wanted to. What mistakes do you think you'd be punishing your team right now? You'd be like, no, you've been doing this, you shouldn't do that, don't do that in the next map.
Well, once again, I don't think it's about mistake, but I think we've seen Drak's number being kind of low, and I think that's because he was kind of on his own on the flank. Maybe Talash was just a bit more focused on the combo this time, so maybe try to, we all know that Drak is really good at holding flanks, but maybe with a bit more support, he can actually go forward and try to break the holes on the flank and then make the situation easier for his combo. So maybe try to get more support on Drax's side, and then getting the heals a bit more on the flank, less on Cadus, and try to see if you can break the hold of on the flank from Swift, trying to push on Zilli especially.
Yeah, you see the differences between both of the teams right now. One team is sitting down, happy, ready to play the next game, smiling, and the next huddled around, bunching up, talking and listening very intently over on SVIFT. Is it just?
Well, this is pretty much because Se7en, they've been playing together for so long, and with Cadus in charge, right when the games end, they already know what they have to fix. So they don't really need to talk about it forever. This is, I'm pretty sure within the 2 minutes after the game, Cadus was already saying to his guys, this is what we need to do for the second map. While Swift is kind of a newer team at least. So they probably need a bit more team talk to figure out the maybe they don't have this strong leadership, so they really have to make some kind of brainstorm and try to find solution as a team to just come back and take the map and going to the third map of the series.
Yeah, so the winner of this, I need to remind you, that will be facing up against Froyo, whoever wins this out. And I'm not sure what game I'm more excited to see, is a Froyo versus Se7en Classic early on, or do we want to save that for later and watch a Froyo versus SVIFT? Have you got a personal preference at all, Ombrack?
Well, we've seen Froyo against Swift on the SEA, and I think a lot of people watching this LAN are here for the clash of titans between Se7en and Froyo. So, but do we want it this early, or just do we want to keep it for the finals?
I mean, it will spoil it, won't it? I mean, the good things are best waited on. Surely.
That's probably true. That's probably true. I think I'm not biased enough to say I want Se7en to win, and so let's just say let the better team take it, and then we'll see what to expect. But it looks like we're starting TurboTabs.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. If you're just joining us, this is ESA, this is our coverage of the LAN, and our game is on to the second map of the best of 3, Se7en versus SVIFT, and the first thing I see is fat stickies coming out from Kado. He's already predicted where they're going to go and where they're going to move, and they're going to move to the respawn queue. And this is looking so easy from Se7en here. The scout's doing work towards the tail end of another mid. It couldn't get any more Se7en Badlands even if he tried.
Oh, you mentioned Kados, but I think the player to highlight here was Drac. He has a really fast bomb onto the Swift balcony, onto the house, and then he landed a lot of damage. And then, I mean, Kados, as if he was a scout, just had to clean up the damage with his sticky. So we mentioned how Drac needed more support, and this is just exactly what Se7en needed right now.
Yeah, a strong start from them, almost intimidating to the side of SVIFT, but it's still just the early stages, and who cares if you lose one round here and there. It's a game of many rounds in TF2, so I'm sure they're not going to count themselves out no matter how this goes. The Uber does pop out, and they will kind of use this pyro to maybe defy some of this spam onto the sentry.
Oh, yeah, gets Kados down actually. This is looking really, really bad for Se7en. They didn't really manage to get a gun down, probably because of bot mode playing pyro and just reflecting all of the projectiles that were going onto the sentry. But really, really bad push here from Se7en, not helped by the hold of the last, I mean, which is really hard to hold. And looks like Swift tried to push out, but the two quick frags from Talash and Abs completely denied that attempt from Swift.
Oh, Falash trying to give him the ring around the roses there, but Falash will be caught by a high five, and a lot of just trading here and there. Some people want to push out, some people want to stay back and deal with Falash, and because of the segregation of both teams, everyone lost some casualties and nobody's really going to benefit from it. They are making an attempt at a push over on Swift, but it's so hard to hold on to that Spire, and you've got Captain Drac just jumping you, just instant giving you for like 100 damage. Disgusting Ombrack.
Yeah, and Badlands Spire is really hard to push on, especially when you're on your last, because you can't get flanked on basically any way, any path is open to the flank. Zilli is getting pushed on bottom right, but doesn't die with 3 HP. He managed to hide in spawn, and it lives. And I think there's someone from Swift in the backlines of Se7en.
Yeah, they I think they know he's around, and they've actually got Falash over on the respawn queue. He went to Pyro actually, see if he can pepper him with a bit of burn damage before he actually committed in, and he's still sticking with that Pyro class, but bot mode has decided to just exit the fight completely, and Flash is like, where did he go? Where's he gone? Cadus. Oh, that's actually a force coming out from bot mode. That's a massive play from the American there. That is going to work wonders for SVIFT now about making this push into it. And after all that, he didn't even die.
Yeah, I didn't really call what happened here, but now Talash is kind of stuck off the Pyro because I know Se7en has a strat with they push last with the Pyro, but I don't think the strat is to hold the Spire with the Pyro. That's a whole new world here for Se7en, and even though Skis is sitting on the Uber, I don't think SVIFT can really attempt to push out of the last without getting punished, but looks like bot mode hasn't been spotted.
God, he's just a boogeyman coming out from every door and crevice. He has actually got some nice shots onto Raymond there, but can't quite finish him off. And Flash is going to last. Oh, Zilly predicted that play, hiding against the Pyro, and he got that first rocket. It was so easy to follow up the second as well. You see High5 is sneaking onto the Spire, and he actually wants to join the little DM fight with his team, take out the players before you take out the point, says SVIFT right now. Cadus is just holding back. He doesn't want to put himself at any harm's way, but still keep up that maximum like spam efficiency from the English demo man. And they're still kind of capping the point despite all the hate they're getting from Cadus, and Flash is kind of found his way behind, but hasn't really had time to go back. He gets a nice flank onto not only the medic, but the scout. He will get eventually cleaned up by Yite, but the collapse is coming in from Se7en, and it is going so cleanly for them. They've got an Uber charge, they've got player advantage, they've got the pieces to make the last push happen. They just need to execute perfectly. They're going to deal with this last soldier. They've already got stickies on point. Everyone is spammed on top of there, and there you go. An easy 7 round eventually 5 minutes into the game.
That was such a really synced play here from Se7en. They wasted enough time on the Spire so Talash could go in the backlines unnoticed and could drop Skis. And once again, this just goes to show that how the last on Badlands is really hard to push out from. And really nice play from Talash, who he seemed to go in the backlines without being checked. So that's already the second time he did it on Badlands.
All right, SVIFT, keep a lookout for that drag bomb that worked so well last time. Cadus is going really aggressive onto the onto Yite this mid. He's brought him down to such low HP, but there's no real super follow-up. Captain's trying to maybe get some a little bit of a flank going, some damage whilst he was going towards that flank, but it's SVIFT is holding the line. They're blobbing up, and it's kind of even Stevens right now for any of these teams, and they're just, wow, look at that little last tail end of the fight. How did they win that on Ombrack?
I don't really know, because it seemed like Raymond was kind of disconnected for the rest of the team, but Se7en are really good to stay alive, even though when they're weak, they just have to hide, and just the mere fact of their presence is enough to deny any attempt from SVIFT. And once again, another really strong mid here for Se7en. In a completely different approach this time. They didn't really send drag in, they just played the Rankarius this time, and it worked out really well. But we've seen them failing this last push with the fully Uber ad once, so maybe they can actually fail a second time.
Yeah, just to remind people, they didn't even take out the sentry gun last time, and I mean, what kind of Uber doesn't take out a sentry gun? That thing goes down like it's made of paper, so they will attempt another go at it. Well, that Pyro is just being pesky. The sentry gun will not go down. It actually will right at the end there, but there was a lot of effort put into just taking out that one little sentry gun. He's going to switch off from Engineer, get back on the Scout, and get the damage flowing for the rest of SVIFT. A nice little air shot from Zilly to actually clean up Captain there. There's still one player left over on the on Se7en, and that was Flash hiding in that top right-hand side. They will clean him up, and with about 4 players down for Se7en, they could probably get this Spire quite safely, unless Cadus does some massive stickies to just completely discombobulate High5 at this point.
Are they trying to delay the point once again? It looks like it, but now this time they realize they haven't been quick enough because of the spawners, and they have to leave the situation that this is the second time that Se7en is trying to push the SVIFT last with a fully Uber ad, and they can't really make it because of the gun and the Pyro. The combination of the two off classes is way too strong.
Oh, drop coming out onto Skis. Flash finds the sight line. Even I didn't see that coming, and I don't think he would have seen it coming either. And look at the frags flowing just from the lack of heals and just all the shock and surprise and the distraught on the SVIFT side.
But correct me, TurboTabs, I think you said Talash was more of a non-liner.
Please, Ombrack, don't do this to me.
Well, let's be fair, it was a body shot, not a clutch headshot, but the result is the same. It's a drop for Skis, and now Se7en is pushing on life with another fully charged Uber. High5 in the backline, he's on the Spire, he got dragged. Maybe he can get enough cap time on the Spire, but no, it's getting cleaned up by Curtis, and now this is looking really, really good for Se7en.
Yeah, they've got the Ubercharge advantage though, but they are down a Drac already, so maybe this last push will be a little bit harder than usual. They haven't got a Pyro to actually deflect most of this spam onto the Engineer. That's a difference maker, and this mid is already going better already. They've knocked everybody to the low ground. Se7en should have the control at this point. It's up to them to lose, and they've dropped down, and they can't just seem to find the frags or the damage to actually clean up any of these players. It looked like such good positions for them, but SVIFT just still win it.
The arrows from Skis were completely nuts this time, and this is how SVIFT managed to hold these points. Skis managing to keep his demo alive for so long, it completely denied and turned off the push from Se7en, and this is another repush from SVIFT, and this time Skis really doesn't want to drop his Uber.
Yeah, you do hate those moments where things were so close and you lost one player before the push. It makes you think, if Drac was with us, maybe, just maybe, we would have got a second round on that board, but there's no need to dwell on the past. They will have to deal with this midpoint. They willingly just give it up because they do have a scary Uber in their back pocket, and they don't want to deal with that right now. They want to just keep away from them, look at them through a scope. That's how the best way of just kind of keeping out of the fight and away from that Uber, just using the long distance to their advantages.
And now Se7en want to waste as much time as they can on that lobby area so they can possibly get the Uber in time. We can see SVIFT making their way up the Spire, trying to go maybe take the high ground as soon as they can and going on the move as quickly as they can, because now the Uber ad is getting smaller and smaller by the seconds, TurboTabs, and it's possible that Raymond gets it just in time.
Yep, AMS says, I like that idea with the Pyro there. Well, I think I'm going to run that Pyro on the right-hand side, deflect all those projectiles away from my sentry gun. It works very well for SVIFT, and we'll see if it works out for Se7en as well. But surely, if SVIFT have played that sort of defense so much, they know how to beat it as well.
Well, this is a whole another story, TurboTabs. If this was that easy, Badlands wouldn't be such a failed map when it comes to last hold. High Five, I think, died, but he was sacking, and this is why Talash was killing. We can see Kedus running the infamous loose cannon.
Oh no, loose cannon. It has no skill. Ugh. Okay, so what advantages do you get from the loose cannon? That means you get to bounce back some of these players, make these Ubers a little bit more difficult. Oh, he uncloaks AMS, and he actually gets the backstab onto Skis. I thought he had the sightline onto him, but I guess he just didn't quite see him.
I was pretty sure Skis saw the spy, but maybe...
I mean, he was disguised. Maybe he just thought like, oh, that's my good friend bot mode. I do love bot mode. No, why bot mode?
Backstab in bot mode in this situation, but yeah, the loose cannon.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure Se7en is not going to push out of fast, so we can just sit here. Oh, actually, it looks like they are. They want to try to use this Uber advantage, but High Five may just completely deny this push if he just connects the bullets on the body of the 7 players.
Yep, and they're trying to just peek and poke out. Oh, Cadus going down. That's a rip push. And you actually see some back cap attempts from bot mode during that, but Falash's sentry gun will deal with that. And High Five is just playing a Quake kind of like laser beam mode, doesn't even zoom in, just constant peppering out those 50 damage like hip fire shots. Drac hiding, nobody sees him. Maybe they hear him. They must hear that. They actually goes for the back cap with the pain train and caps it underneath their feet. 1 HP on that boy will get cleaned up by High Five, who again.
Nice use of the unlocks here from Drac, going with the pain train, allowing him to get the cap. But yeah, really hard to push on the Spire once again. Even though Se7en got the cap, they couldn't get any much more than this. And now they're once again going to go back on their last. And the Uber is going to be even once again. The Amps this time tried again, but this time AIM was on the chase. And the Amps died before even attempting to backstab the medic. And SVIFT, they are 1 player up. And there's a gun on the Se7en side. Yeah, they must have done a quick head count when making that push. And it was like, wait a tick, where's that other scout? Maybe he's going to do the exact same thing that worked so well for them last time. So, read like a book, AMS. He will come back to the land of the living and rock his own sniper. He has been spotted now, firing off that first shot. Oh, quick drop down. A disrespectful shot onto High Five, showing him how it's done. And AMS, he's got to be feeling himself at this point. Maybe he can go for some of these braver shots. Oh, he's peeking really aggressively into that lobby area. He's been chased by a scab, but he luckily lives. And that was a nice attempt here from Amps. He knows that dying wouldn't hurt his team this much, so he just went and tried for it. And But there's not much more that Se7en can do right now. I mean, they have a gun, they have their demo in position with the loose cannon, and they have basically to wait for Swift to either make a mistake or own them on
wow,
life.
AMS does it twice in a row. High five. I thought I told you not to come back as sniper, says AMS. And again, he's got to be feeling good after that. He's going to go for another brave shot. Doesn't actually see the skis in that top lobby, so not really going to even bother zooming in. And I've seen this story before on Ombrack. I think he's just going to keep rotating around. It's almost a checklist at that point. High five comes back as sniper. I snipe high five. I take a brave shot onto the medic. Medic doesn't reveal himself. Repeat.
And high five looked like he's okay with that. Sorry, I mean, doesn't look like he wants to do any twist with it. Except he's not looking for from the same location. This time he whiffs the shot on the head of Kados, just hits the body shot.
That was a standing still demo man as well.
That's stage pressure. Let's state so stage pressure.
Stage pressure. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt for now. AMS. Oh, high five isn't down there this time. He's just going to circle back around, and high five is actually opted to poke on this left-hand door instead, knowing that that bottom door is not working out so hotly for him. Oh, close between these two snipers, but it's a separate little game. It's almost like I'm watching CP Orange at the moment. Is he
Oh,
going
he
to finish him
lives!
off? Oh.
How does he live?
8 HP.
High five, you're a lucky one this time. And so TurboTabs, tell me, why do you love stalemates?
I like moments like this. I think they're quirky, they're fun, and I like the creativity and just the calm pace of it. I'm an old man, I like calm things, okay? Oh, they've actually Ubered in. This isn't calm at all. They're actually going to take out the sentry gun, get some stickies on point. Have they taken out the sentry gun? I guess they eventually take it out, but it was up for much longer than they expected. They've wasted all their ammo, all their attention, and Se7en reaped the rewards of all of the easy fight there. There was no one to really fight back, and they just kind of overpowered those 3 players. They're going to push into this second point now. They will find the AMS kill, but he gets quickly cleaned up on the flank, and Captain's just going to relieve some pressure against some of these SVIFT players hanging around at choke. And yep, an easy second point for Se7en.
Well, High Five hasn't been really lucky with the sniper rifle so far, and this is probably why Swift didn't make it into the last. I think pushing just because Am's die was a bit reckless, maybe from Swift, and maybe they needed another pick because the sniper wasn't enough. But the damage is done, and now Se7en took their Spire back, and it's another hold, this time on mid, another stalemate, and maybe AMS as a sequel to propose to the rest of the team.
I don't know, I mean, who really runs sniper at second point? It's, oh, he's revealed himself now, they've spotted him, and they should know that the sniper is a thing to deal with over on Se7en and SVIFT. So, another sniper wars. I hope you packed some sandwiches on Ombrack, because we might be here for a while. Oh, misses the shot onto the demo man there, but I mean, statistically, eventually, at some point, someone's going to get a headshot given enough time.
Yeah, me. I will kill myself because.
Oh, actually, AMS gets a.
Ooh, nice rocket here from Zilly. Just clean up AMS swiftly before going back to mid. Is that enough, TurboTabs, to push on Se7en right now?
Well, they get the pick onto the flank there and decide to rotate round to one of these doorways. Pick a door or any door. They're going for Drac, actually, and they might... Oh, if Drac didn't hit that nice clean rocket onto that soldier there, stopping him from lining up the second one, I don't think he would be surviving. He will actually get the kill onto bot mode, who tried to sneak in behind. So, back to that good old stalemate on Ombrack.
Well, from Se7en perspective, you don't really have to push because there's no ad for you, and you're one run up, so it's probably mostly up to Swift to make anything happen. They tried to push on that resub, but luckily Drac managed to escape on the resub, so now we can see Botmo trying a different approach.
I mean, 8 minutes though. 8 minutes is possibly how far this little stalemate could go before rounds start resetting. And I mean, do you think these teams could even wait 8 minutes at this point of the game?
Doesn't look like it. I think Swift, even though they're willing to wait, after a while they just want to make something happen because they know this isn't really their strength to play the ultra passive mode. So they try to bomb in from choke and try to get some rockets onto Raymond, but only one connected. Captain is sacking back. Oh, what a rocket from AIM! Another air shot to add to the numbers of AIM, and with one soldier down, maybe some more up windows for bot mode now.
Is that air shot number 30 now? That must be...
oh, he must have hit some more air shots on Sunshine, but yeah, the numbers are just going higher and higher for AIM.
Yeah, they want to play off this drop down. Oh, actually, Drag did not see the scout coming in from that little flank area. Gives him the fat 2-meat double, and he will go back to the respawn queue. Now a little bit of a headache play for Se7en. And not only did they have to hold this choke by themselves, they have to also deal with a scout that's behind. They will actually force off the Uber from Raymond and company, and they've got their own Uber to actually start going aggressive with. I say going aggressive with, they're going back, Ombrack.
Well, they want to wait for the spawners, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, Skis hasn't used his own charge, so I'm expecting Swift to just wait for the spawners and then push with a full Vanguard. Cadus is being peppering down on the lobby, but the house. The Captain's going in, one rocket and aim once again with a airshot onto Captain, and saving his medic from using the Uber right now.
I swear, is this the replay function that we've been watching here? It's just the same moments happening back again and again and again. So it's they've got that Uber advantage, but they've wasted a lot of time, and they could have that Uber back on Se7en by the time they actually cap the second point. There we go, they actually stack it now, and Se7en aren't even in the position to contest, so it will be something we're quite familiar with, this last to second point connecting stalemate, and they're just building up some sentry guns. They all, you know, the whole typical cookie cutter last defense on Badlands. But
really unique situation here, TurboTabs. Hold on last with even Ubers, a double donk, and a sentry gun. I'm excited to see this. And
well,
what will Swift do this time? They tried several things, but nothing really worked out. So now we can see that they don't have any kind of off classes. Kate is picking quite aggressively onto the lobby, but is getting punished and pulled back by aim.
I mean, is it Swift for them to deal with right now? I feel like, I mean, is it Se7en to deal with? I think it's Swift in the driving seat. He will actually get bot mode in, but he gets caught out by that sentry gun. Probably all part of the plan. Wants to get a bit of off-class going, but we'll have to just wait very patiently in 5 seconds time. Oh, a big wraparound from Captain. He gets the kill onto Skis now. Now they can think about making this push into second. They've got the heal advantage. He even respawns back, goes back to spawn, changes class, and he's back with his teammates. They can definitely make this push in, but maybe they're a little bit worried about making this push from Se7en right now.
Well, Skis is already up because of the weird spawn times on Badlands, so there will be some heals onto Swift on that Spire. Oh, the bomb is coming in again from Zilly. It gets the Uber out of the hands of Raymond, and Kate is going extremely deep. Gets one frag onto Bogma. Really nice play here from Cadus, and this could be momentum going now for Se7en if they decide to take it to mid.
Yeah, you see a room-making bomber from that soldier there. I think that was Drac. He's trying to just provide some space for his team to come back in. Actually, it was Captain. He will go
what
down.
What a rocket from Drac onto Skis to direct, completely annihilating the medic from Swift. And this is looking really, really good from Se7en right now. They have the high ground. All they have to do is keep their medic alive. The bomb is coming from Zilly, and now aim is going as well, but it's really weak, getting cleaned up by Cadus. And this looks like a secured mid for Se7en if they play around their medic.
Yeah, they're just holding their ground. They want to see if they can sneak in these places, but there's nowhere to sneak in from Ombrack. They just have to deal, kind of just take these 1v1 fights. Well, I say 1v1s, more like 4v1 fights against Se7en, and I mean, it's such a tall ask from a team like SVIFT already in this point of the game.
Yeah, really nice flanking play here from Drac, killing Skis and allowing his team to just walk forward onto this map. We can see now Se7en securing the cap onto the Spire, and I think they're going to sit on a sizable Uber advantage TurboTabs, and they may as well go try to go quickly if they want to make use of it.
Yep. They will hold on to the Spire. They've got the Uber charge advantage, but they've got a forward hold going for SVIFT, and usually see this slapped out on Ombrack when they want to kind of expend the Uber out of the enemy team, or at least force them to walk up Spire and just kind of waste more time. And look at all that time they've wasted. SVIFT have almost got their Uber charge ready. They actually get 2 picks, and not just any 2 picks. They get the headmaster himself, Kado, and Flash. They can maybe think about making a push out into second here, but it's still kind of a difficult point to push, even with 2-player advantage. They do have the Demo Man down, however, and usually that's a big force. And, oh, the medic actually got forced. Captain sneaked around from that little Spire inside. They're going to back out. They want to hold on to their Uber, it seems, over on Se7en. Sure, you can have our second point. I think her Uber is a fine trade here to say Se7en.
And now they will be able to come back with their own charge. Captain is leading. Oh, he spotted Zilly onto the Hunter, and in the meantime, Cadus is leading his teams through the resupply point. Raymond hasn't used yet, but
Yeah, they're getting some cap time on point, but they're thinking about making the push into last now. Yite has actually dropped down, taken out AMS, but loses his life. It's a bit scary for a Demoman to be lost to, on your team at that point. They have got
died
an Uber,
as well, so
but they've got an Uber charge. They could maybe make a push of this, and they're poking. They're looking at the lower door. They maybe might go for the attempt, but look at all these respawns back for SVIFT now. It's too late for them to take advantage of that Uber, and they're going to just sit back, wait for the team captain, Kado, and go back to the drawing board.
AMS has an idea of his own to try and break the stalemate, because we can see that SVIFT, they put up the big gun and I think a heavy and a sentry on the last of SVIFT to try to hold this. No, actually, there's no sentry.
Oh, no!
Oh, I'm so unlucky. Just walked into Zilly and he gets the frag. But that was really unlucky from the Finnish spy here. Just walked in Zilly because he couldn't see him around the corner, and maybe Zilly has some kind of special skill we are not aware of.
I mean, that's the disadvantage of entering that door as a spy. It's so tiny that, and it is a common place for the Roman soldier to poke about. So most spies will opt to go for that main door instead, but because of that little risk, he...
Well, Zilly again, I think this is the second time he manages to kill Cadus on that lobby area, and you really don't want to lose Demoman here when you're holding that lobby. So we can see SVIFT is already on the prowl, 6 minutes left on the timer, and SVIFT, if they want to make it to tie, they have to come out of the lobby right now and take the Spire back.
Oh, they actually forced the Uber out of skis here, and nice little drop in by Drak, and what can they do at this point? They milk it with such ease over on Se7en now. They could take the rest of this Uber in. They just need to start cleaning up these points. Oh, 1 HP Warrior will be found, will be tracked, and will die. It's just one player left. A nice little finishing air shot to end that fight on Captain, showing his DM skills there. They do keep Skis alive and Yite, and those are the two players you probably want alive when it comes to this last defense, but there's so many players for him to deal with at this point, Ombrack. Can he really hold on? He has some respawn, is coming back from the brink of death, but every single person that respawns gets replaced back by Se7en. They're playing the point. They've got some rollers actually on there. Kado is cleaning up everybody. It's just one player left. He's got all the heals in the world. He just needs to land the stickies, and he will. He will cap it off. Finally, a second round on the board for Se7en.
I think this round just came out of the try to push out from the attempt of push out from SVIFT, but once again, Badlands is such an unforgiving map when it comes to push out, and they just got cleaned up really easily by the squad of Se7en. And then you said it, just take Cadus on last on main and get the round. That was a nice try for SVIFT, but they got punished really hard, and now it's only 5 minutes and 2 rounds down for SVIFT. 2 really long rounds. They're going to have to change the pace of this game, SVIFT, if they want to make this comeback. They're going to have to shorten this time tenfold if they want to bring back into it, and they do get Raymond very early on now. That's a very strong start for them. If they can protect Skis, maybe blob up at this point, and that's what they're doing. They're using him as a fine bait, and look at all these players flooded into the arms of SVIFT. They probably might get the wipe here if AMS just stops moving. There we go. So there's the wipe against Se7en right now. SVIFT hold on to their medic, so they could probably sail this into a last push. They've got all the ingredients on Ombrack. Can they bring them together? Well, there was a completely different approach on that mid from SVIFT. AIM just walked underneath, and with 2 rockets, he managed to clean up the frags onto Raymond and Cadus at the same time. So nice read here from AIM and the rest of his team. And we've seen so many last rushes getting held. I'm sorry, by the defensive team. That is going to be this. Doesn't mean that SVIFT is going to take this round. They may as well just try and get it completely denied by the sentry and the pyro from Se7en.
And the lock-in load as well. They're bringing out all the bells and whistles for Team Se7en right now. They actually take out the dispenser, take out Drak. They can't really seem to take out the sentry gun though. He actually will clean up the kill onto Skis. How can you take the rest of this fight without a medic? Well, this is how you do it, Ombrack. You just play the point. Everyone's flooded to them. Oh, straight into the bait and switch by SVIFT there. They wanted them to come to them, Ombrack, but they just played a different game. They played the objective game.
Yeah, just piling up the stickies on Se7en's last, so everyone would drop down on them and just getting fragged. So that was really nice sync play here from the whole team of SVIFT. And now they made it. They had a really quick round, and they probably can make it back. 3 minutes left onto that round, to that map. I mean.
All right, another mid, another attempt. SVIFT, Yite is going from the balcony this time, a little bit more defensive, and the opening kill will be brought out by Flash. The damage is, and just like the position seems to favor Se7en at this point on. They are holding back on their own, the enemy crate right now for SVIFT, and the DM fights are just evening out just a little bit better from a Swift onto 7 right now. And yeah, it's just they managed to keep Skis alive at that at the very least, and they don't have to worry about this uber advantage coming out from 7. But you need like rounds being rotated here if you're on Swift. If you want to make this this into a best of 3, at this rate, it's just going to end in 2-0.
That's fire, but can't really accomplish much, and actually is being helped by his team. He's jumping in onto Raymond. Raymond finally uses his own charge, but I don't think Skis has used his own.
Yeah, well, it's just, I mean, what can you say there? They Ubered in, he wasn't in danger, he didn't use his. Very simple TF2 there. Usually is, you might see this like minor mistake from the intermediate teams where they're thinking, oh, the enemy team is Ubered, I should Uber as well, because that's how TF2 usually works. But he holds onto it, and now he can stop Ren, and then there's a back cap though coming out from one of the scouts here. That's Flash. Some good old EU gimmicks. Actually caps out the point out right. That's going to waste so much time for Swift. Now they were hoping to actually push in with this supercharge advantage, and look at all this percentage they're gaining back on the side of 7 because of this back cap now.
Yeah, really nice play here from Talash. Nice read. He just oh, Skis tried to surf away from Jack, but he finally has to use the Uber, and now it's only 1 minute, but 7 is sitting on the sizable Uber, and it is going to be really hard for Swift to make it into a round. They have only 1 minute to make. Raymond uses his own charge and cut this. I see 2 soldiers on the spy up. Both are getting blown away. Oh, Captain with 2 nice rockets getting cleaned on the frag. Raymond finally uses his charge, but it doesn't really matter. Nice spy from Yai, getting 1 frag onto Kados, finally getting cleaned up by Amps, but this is looking really bleak now for Swift, unless they can make that backup happen.
Yeah, they actually got some scouts into the point there, and he denied the jump from AMS. So if it wasn't for that soldier jump from Drac earlier, I think that point would have been capped out. And some very nice decisions from all of these players here to throughout all that fight. So everyone was making the correct decision, it seemed, but it just went the 7 way eventually. I think they entered the fight with just a bit more advantages going into it.
Well, it just came down to the rockets of Captain. So yeah, he's trying to jump the spire, getting nice damage. But
oh my god, this is way too close.
He can't clean anyone. It's 5 seconds remaining. This is it. TurboTabs 7. He's taking the second map, and 7 is taking the series.
Well, there you go. I mean, maybe a bit closer than what we saw from the Froyo game, but still the outcome is roughly the same. It will be taken in the 2-round clean sweep from 7, and we will be getting that that premature Froyo Tech versus 7 match a little bit later on, but it doesn't mean it's over for Swift NA. They will be knocked down into our lower bracket alongside, who is it, Ascent? Ascent.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the game a bit more in detail. Ombrack, favorite question, of course, MVP. Anybody jumping out at you before we look at some logs?
I want to say Captain, even though he didn't get that many frags. I felt like the frags he got, the plays he had were really impactful for his team. We didn't see that much of the scouts this time. Talash had a nice plays at the start, flanking play, where he just went in backlines and managed to get something happen. But I think really for 7, as far as 7 is concerned, I think Captain really was the most impactful player for this team.
So, I mean, that's good to see, because that last Sunshine game, we were kind of missing that soldier presence from 7 there. So it goes to show that it's not just it's not a bad day at the office, it's just that bad map. So
It's I think it's kind of hard to really point out MVPs, because we were sitting on the 2 teams last for quite a while. So this isn't really the kind of place where you can see players just shining and making big plays. It's kind of more about a team effort, and the main players can't really shine, but maybe our analysts will prove me wrong, I don't know.
Well, I don't know why we should stick around and keep guessing or breaking down this game when we've got a dedicated couch for that on Brack. Let's head it over to our good friends, Getawhale, nuze, and eepily. Take it away, guys.
Thank you so much, TurboTabs, and I think from upstairs we could almost hear the monkus downstairs from the Swift fans, because I've got to say that was a lot closer of a series than maybe anybody was expecting, maybe even the Swift guys themselves, I don't know.
Yeah.
But very impressive. It's right from the beginning, right from the very first map. I mean, I know a lot of your notes and things you guys were noticing were, you know, what was Swift doing so right to jump out to such a lead? I mean, it was real quick 2 rounds in that first map. I mean, you want to talk about it, Nuze? What did you see?
Well, from the outset, that's what you want to be getting
Yeah.
against Se7en. You want to get the early rounds.
Yeah.
And on Sunshine, it was Swift's map pick.
Yes.
Yeah, and it hasn't been played as much in Europe, but I don't think these are any real reasons for Se7en to give up so much control of the map early on. They had two nice mids from Swift early on. They got 2 early rounds on the board, after which Se7en kind of corrected the mids and they figured it out, and it was an uphill battle to get back up there.
Yeah.
But they did manage to get 2 rounds, even it out, and then when it came to the golden cap, it seemed like they were in control of the game.
Definitely.
But it is a bit alarming if you're a Se7en fan and you're considering, they want to be in the final, they want to be contesting for first place, and they're giving up 2 rounds that quickly, that early to a team that most people would assume that if they're trying to be contending for the first place, they shouldn't be losing 2 rounds like that early on. The second map, Se7en's pick, it was pretty much in Se7en's control the whole game. They got the early round, and then despite being on their last for a lot of it, Swift couldn't do anything. There was two or three instances where Swift just tried to push out of, sheer will of let's see what we can do, if it can turn into anything, and it didn't really amount to anything. We do have logs here up there.
Yeah, as we have a look there. I mean, eepily, were you surprised at how many rounds Swift was able to take in? And I mean, seeing them even leading Se7en for a little while?
Yeah, obviously most people looking at this, they would think it maybe not necessarily like an easy-ish win for Se7en, but a pretty dominant performance for Se7en. Like we said before, it doesn't really matter how many rounds Se7en wins by because of how they play the game. It's all about control. If they win by 1 round or 4, doesn't really matter. For Se7en, winning is winning. But undoubtedly Swift had a really good performance. I think one of the biggest positives to say for Swift was they had some really, really solid last holds. I think that combined a bit with Se7en having some dodgy last pushes. I think we saw a lot of Pyro and NG last holds on Badlands, and it's already really difficult to deal with. But the way Skis hit some really important arrows, and when you've got that kind of burst healing being given to a Pyro, the Pyro's reflecting all the projectiles going at the sentry, it can just make things so difficult to get through. And we saw on at least a couple Se7en last pushes, they would lose someone to the sentry as soon as they push in, and then it just makes everything so difficult.
Yeah, a couple in a row that they beefed on Badlands. We're looking at some of the standout numbers here: 10 air shots, aim, and the explosive class is really just kind of having a field day. I mean, you see Captain and Drac there as well. I know we sorted by damage a minute there a second ago. Yite playing all right as well, actually, on demo, which I don't believe is really it's not really his main class, but he plays it in pugs and whatnot and that. He played fairly well as we look at some more stats here in terms of heals and whatnot. A lot of people, they were saying downstairs and up here, they really felt bad for Skis.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's a very important thing to bring up. Both of these maps, it was just such an uphill struggle for Skis.
4 drops. This is just on 1 map alone. I mean,
Exactly.
that's rough. To 5 charges. That is ugly for a guy who's a lot more capable than that.
Yeah, I mean, at this level of play, you don't really see drops coming from really bad mistakes as you would in lower level play. It's often the result of really tight situations and really good playmaking.
Yeah,
I think one of the doubts a lot of people would have had about Se7en coming into this LAN without Stark is the lack of playmaking ability. But we saw Drac had his plays, Captain got one of the drops onto Skis. There was some spy plays by Amps and Delash as well.
Yep.
So everyone else making up for it a little bit, but you would have hoped that Swift would have managed to protect Skis a little bit more. It was unfortunate. They did a good job in some situations. I remember there was a few times where there were spies that got dealt with, there were soldiers that bombed, and Skis was fine. But with the amount of times with Se7en controlling the game that they were able to get those playmakers into position, they're going to make it work eventually.
Yeah, it was working out. It's kind of a team thing. I mean, High Five was doing all right on Sniper there on the second map. You can see here, really, Swift kind of stole that last round that they took there in what was essentially garbage time. You can see the numbers kind of telling the tale that it was pretty lopsided on that Badlands map. Not incredibly so, but I mean, 87 frags to 69. We talked about the charges and the Uber drops and whatnot. Does anything else stand out to you, or does that basically kind of tell the tale?
Well, you can see there that the one mid that Swift won was also the round, and it was a quick round as well.
Right.
I think that's probably, well, it was the same case on Sunshine. If they can get a quick mid and they can, get enough picks and advantages so that they can just steamroll through last, that's when Swift were able to get those rounds over Se7en. So all 3 rounds that they got in this best of 3, was the result of good mid-fight. So maybe that's an issue for Se7en. I'm not entirely sure. Sunshine, it was an issue at the start. I think that's what Cadis would have been reading into it, that once they corrected the mids, they were pretty stable. But potentially a weak point for Se7en going forward in the tournament.
Sure. Well, we got an updated bracket that we could take a look at here as we progress through and we make our way through the day. You see there, Se7en, of course, coming up victorious, and Froyo Tech, they're going to be facing them, and that's one to look forward to, definitely. Froyo 7 is kind of what everyone's been waiting for, I suppose. We still do have our losers bracket, but we are primarily working through the upper today. That's what's going to be happening. Yeah, I mean, I would say really the big matchup to look for is Froyo Tech and Se7en. We'll see how that lower bracket develops as well. That's something to keep in mind also, because of course, you know, SVIFT and those other teams, they'll have a shot. Ascent will have another shot and whatnot. Just something to make the viewers aware of, we're actually going to be switching gears because we are going to be heading back over to the Esports Arena channel for the future games for the rest of today. We've been thrilled that you guys have been here with us on the Team Fortress TV channel. It's been fantastic viewership. All the Euros get to watch because it's early for them and whatnot. So, yeah, there it is down there, twitch.tv/esportsarena. I don't think there's anything else for right now, actually. We have the teams downstairs kind of getting set up for further matches and whatnot. So, tell you what, thank you for joining us here. Skip over. We're going to spam the chat out with the Esports Arena channel. We will see you over there right up until 11 o'clock tonight. So tune in there. I'll see you in a little bit.